Hey buddies, welcome to AmassGames. My name is Simon. Today I'm going to show you a setup, play and review Bellfaire. This is an expansion, a modular expansion, the first expansion after Pearlbrook, so check out my video for that, for the game Everdell, the Complete Collection. Now I have already talked to you about Everdell, the Complete Collection before, so make sure you check out the podcast. You can find the description to the links in YouTube as well. Also head through to the comment section as well, where you can comment. It's best, this does get shared. You can find it via the description over on TikTok, X, Threads, etc. and the discussion via Facebook. So in Bellfaire, there's a modular expansion. There's a number of things you can do. We have player boards. I've recently played this, and as you can see, they are double-sided. And what you can do is you can place your various workers on here. You can place your various tokens, etc., like money, etc. They go on it too, berries, twigs. But as you can see, there really only is kind of 3 spots, which is strange considering we have at least 4 ingredients here, 4 different resources. Plus you can have, of course, pearls, which I've just removed from Pearlbrook, etc. So in terms of my view so far, I wouldn't recommend playing with these player boards. Yes, you do have some variety in what you can play with. And yes, it does help to keep things in one place. This is for the night weave. And like I said, some of it is quite nice, but it isn't the best part of the expansion. Now you can notice the tree is off to one side. We also happen to have a large board at the back called the Bellfaire board, and this allows you to not play with the tree, and instead you can chuck at other things. So let's talk about those other things. Well, first up we have got the events, so you can now chuck in different events you can find in the Bellfaire expansion. Now what you can choose to do is shuffle them and just mix them up with your regular ones, or you can play with 2 of them and 2 of the base game or any other things as well. So that's what they might recommend. So last game, in fact, we did play with 2 of these expansion cards and 2 of the base game. So for example, in this case, you have 5 common constructions. Place work on here, you'll get yourself 5 points. 5 common critters, have 5 of the green production cards, and you have to play 2 berries. This one is you have 4 of those kind of cards, pay 2, 4 and pay 2, etc. I happened to do this one last time. A few others to show you. So we've also got, obviously, the base game we played with last time, Cemetery Shepherd and Remember the Fallen. So various of the standard stuff. That's, like I said, we played with last game. And the last few to show you is we have got the unique critters. So 4 unique critters, obviously discarding cards once you've got 4 of those end game scoring cards. This one here, and finally 4 unique constructions. So that's what we played with last time. So as you can see, you can mix them up if you want to. Next game I'm going to play with purely the Bellfaire cards as well. So what else is there to show you? Well, again, those cards would go here. Let me show you where they go. So now we have our locations done for the special event cards. We also have new forest cards you can play with. So again, you can mix them up as you want to, where you have pay 3 twigs and gain any 3 resources. Of course, you must have 3 twigs, gain 2 resin or 2 berries, 3 resin, and activate 2 of your green production cards in your city. So they are now out in play too. Now, apart from that, you can also notice off to the side here, we have got obviously the various locations. So now those things are top of the board. So spring, summer and winter, or autumn, sorry. And just place them top of the board or just off the board if you wish to. Now, one thing I didn't show you in the last game is, in the last video, when you happen to take a worker, which I will talk to you about again, when you have something like this with an open card, you can play with these. So you can say, hey guys, I've got an open slot, or have it facing away from you. Of course, once someone has taken it, you can move it to the closed side. So that's something, nothing to do with Bellfaire, but just to let you know. So you also have another place you can go to. This is called the, I guess, the flower market, the flower festival. And this flower festival event is an extra thing you can go to. A worker could go on here. And what you need to have is all of those 5 things out. Place work on here, get yourself 5 points. This is an additional basic event. So you can play this modularly. You do not have to play with the Bellfaire board. You can just choose to have this instead. Or again, you can just place on top. It makes no difference. But yes, if you choose not to play with, obviously, this backboard and you want to play with the other tree, like I say, I much prefer that board because my hands are fairly big and it's quite easy to knock it, I find. So I'd rather play without the tree and play with this board. Again, you can play with it and not play with anything else. It's modular, as I mentioned. Another thing is the market. So again, you can see it over here too. We happen to have a market, and what this allows you to do is, here's an example. You can have 4 different resources, so you can have 2 berries, 2 cards, 1 pebble and 3 cards, or 2 amber and 2 cards, or in this case, 3 twigs and 1 card. What you're doing, placing your work on here, again, only 1 of your colour workers per season, and then what you're doing is getting yourself 3 twigs and a card, and then it's moving to the trade section. What this means is on somebody else's turn, or once you've taken your workers back and you brought in another season, you can spend 3 twigs and a card, and this time you're going to get yourself 3 money or 3 victory points at the end of the game by taking those coins now, and you can take any 2 resources. So this was a fun thing I like playing with. I very much like playing with this. Getting some early resources, much better than any of these kind of advanced cards anyway. And of course, getting points at the end, which you can use for other things throughout the game too. And of course, other resources, which are great when you need to do so. So what is there to tell you? Well, we have the Garland Awards. So Garland rewards go here, and what they represent are basically other things you can work towards. For example, you're going to shuffle those up, and there's a number which you can play with, and what they allow you to do is complete various things. So in the last game we played with the agriculture, or the agriculture, sorry, I completely messed it up. What this means is if you have the most production, most green production, the person with the most gets 6 money, or 6 points, second most gets 3 points. Now I was doing very well, I had 5 of these early on, and I didn't watch my opponent, and it turned out that they had 7. They weren't even trying to do it. They got 6 points, but of course playing a 2-player game I still benefited, still got 3, and the difference there was still very effective for me, and thankfully actually did win me the game. Now this last game, playing with Bellfaire, I had a lot fewer cards out. I only had 12 out. My opponent had 17 because I had a couple of Wanderers, which can go and they go outside of your tableau. Again, you do not have to do a 5x3 grid, which I've got just at a shot here. However, it's recommended partially because if you've got like a farm, you can see that you have a wife and maybe a husband or a hunter-gatherer, whatever you wish to call them, a harvester next to you. So that pretty much covers everything off. Like I said, we do have that market we've talked about. I recommend that highly, so it's probably my favourite thing here. I very much like the Everdell board, specifically, of course, this Bellfaire board as an additional thing on there too. The special events, of course, now they're focusing on you getting certain kind of cards out, so they're fun to do with. I actually find it a lot easier to read than reading out the specific names of certain things you need, such as, oh, you need a lookout and you need a miner. Much easier just to look up a symbol than it is to look up certain words, because words you're then able to hunt around and find instead of finding a specific symbol. So that's another thing I recommend. As for the forest locations, again, more stuff is always good. The fact you can activate more ability cards is also lovely too. Player boards, like I said, I don't necessarily need, but at least it kind of keeps it nice and neat, and there is at least some place to put something, which is quite handy too. The Garland Awards are also fun. It's nice to have something that you're competing directly against around too. Yes, you do have that, of course, with the, well, in fact, the worker placement elements of the forest locations and, of course, the special events. But having a clear-cut thing, of course, it can compete with some of those other objectives you're going towards. For example, over here, getting that fairground, of course it does work with it, so it does chain on this occasion, but of course next time I will be playing with some other things too. So that is my overview and how to set up, play and review for Bellfaire. I do recommend it highly. Again, my rating on this, my average rating is 6.4, at least an 8.2. There are some other cards as well that you can be playing with, so other things you can be mixing in. So those are things from like the extra cards, but I'll be talking to you in another video. So of course, like, subscribe and hit the notification bell, and I'll speak to you in due course as well. Apologies that this is being a bit rushed. Partially it's because of the angle I'm filming. I do apologise, but hopefully you'll enjoy the following content. Again, make sure you check out my various playlists, such as the How to Set Up, Play and Review playlist, the AmassGames playlist, the Board Game Review playlist, the Family Weight playlist, and many others that you might find of interest. Thanks very much for watching. Again, enjoy the game. Back to the table.